Biden is trying so hard to jail. He wants to jail his political opponent like they do in third world countries or banana republics. He wants to give it a shot. There's only one problem. Every one of these fake cases is bullshit. Every single one of them. Terrible. And as you know, I've come here today. Thank you very much. What a crowd. I remember in 2020, I don't know if you know, in 2020 we got more votes than any president, any sitting president in history by far. And by the way, there's no way he got 80 million votes, in case you had any questions. We got more votes than any sitting president by far. They said if I got the 63 million that I got the first time, which we won, that there was no way I could lose. I got millions and millions of more votes than that. And they nipped us. They just nipped it. We're not letting that happen again. We're not letting that bullshit happen again. We're not going to let it. As you know, I have come here today from New York City, where I'm being forced to sit for days on end in a kangaroo courtroom with a corrupt and conflicted judge enduring a Biden sideshow trial at the hands of a Marxist district attorney, Soros-backed, who's taking orders from the Biden administration. They're all of these trials. By the way, so if I didn't run, or if I came in fourth, I'd have no problem right now. I'd be in a beautiful someplace. I'd be someplace, but you know what? Honestly, look at this crowd. I'd rather be with you. I'd much rather be with you. Much rather. I'd much rather be with you. But what you're witnessing in New York is not a legal proceeding. It's an unlawful exercise in very stupid and very evil politics. But here's the good news. It's driven the poll numbers higher than we've ever had before. Because people get it. It's a scam, and they get it. These indictments are not just an attack on me. They're an assault on the constitutional rights of all Americans. Remember this. Alphonse Capone. Has anyone ever heard of Al Capone? Scarface. He would kill people if he looked at them and didn't like them. They'd be dead the next morning. They'd never find the body. He got indicted less than I did. Do you believe it? Scarface. I got so many indictments. One day I came in, sir, you've been indicted twice today. I said, oh boy, I thought it was going to be 3 times. That's incredible. Now, these are corrupt people. They did this because it's an attack on a political opponent. And a lot of political opponents wouldn't do too well under those circumstances. But I have a relationship with the people, and I explain it to them, and they understand it's a scam, and they understand it's the worst president in the history of our country by far, who couldn't get elected dog catcher, except that he's in a party that's really, really good at cheating. That's one thing. They're not good at policy. They're horrible. Open borders, high interest rates, high taxes, bad military. Everything's bad. No home. Everything's bad. But they're great at cheating in elections. It's about the only thing they do well. The ultimate verdict on this travesty will not come in a courtroom. It will come at the ballot box, and the American people are going to find crooked Joe Biden guilty of trying to destroy our country. He's destroying our country. He's destroying our country. And you know, it's interesting. I said it a couple of times before to large crowds, but what happened is incredible. And we could have done something on Hillary Clinton. I thought it would be a terrible thing for the country, to be honest with you. Terrible. We could have done on other people, too. I thought it would be terrible for the country. And they did on me what was never, ever supposed to happen, especially when there's nothing. But you know what? It was very interesting. When this happened, and it happened very quickly, I changed my tune. I said, thank you very much, because now I speak about him. I had great reverence for the presidency, President of the United States. And I used to talk about him fairly tough, but not nearly as tough as he deserved, because I had respect for the office. Not for him so much, but for the office. And now I say, He's the worst president in history. He's the most corrupt president in history. He's grossly incompetent. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He doesn't have a clue. He is a disaster for our country. And I say it over and over again, and I have no problem in saying it. He's the worst president in the history of our country, and we got to get him out because he's destroying America. He's destroying our great country. In the middle of a presidential election, think of it, the Republican nominee for president is being attacked like nobody's ever been attacked before. But all of that being done and all of that being said, the fake charges, the legal targets, everything, and you know, we've had tremendous reviews from great people, Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Mark Levin, Greg Jarrett, Sean Hannity, so many people, but great experts, great legal experts. Alan Dershowitz just came out saying there's no case, there's no crime, he didn't do anything wrong. What do you do? These are people, not every one of them love me. These are people that just want to speak the truth. They said there's no Andy McCarthy today. There's no case. It's a witch hunt, and we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it. They can't do that to our country. The judge, by the way, is the most conflicted person in the history. I don't think there's ever been a more conflicted judge. Crooked and conflicted. And I'm unconstitutionally gagged. He gagged me. So I'm not even supposed to be, I would say, talking to you because he gagged me. Think of it. Former president and a very popular president. We had the greatest economy in history. We had the best, safest border that we ever had in history. I rebuilt the military. We created Space Force. We had the biggest tax cuts in history, the biggest regulation cut. And then I run again and win in the fastest time in the history of the Republican or Democrat Party. I won the nomination. Somebody else would still be campaigning to try and win. I won it 2 months ago. Took down some very talented people very quickly, very precisely, very easily. And I have a judge, politically appointed. I have a judge who gagged me. I'm not allowed to talk about things. And nobody's seen anything quite like it, I have to tell you. But the good news is we can explain it. Somebody else wouldn't be able to explain it. Not because they couldn't, but because there'd be 3 people in the audience. I can explain it. Look at all those fake cameras back there. Judge, these are New York judges. I had another judge, Judge Engoron. He takes assets that are worth billions and billions of dollars, and he says, oh, they're worth just a little bit, like 18 million. He takes an asset that's worth $1 billion, $1.5 billion. He says it's worth 18 because that's his narrative. And they come out against me on something where it was absolutely perfect. And he said, oh, you're rich. Pay a $500 million fine. $500 million! And we want a bond. But the problem is bonding companies don't do bonds of that amount. They do a bond for $1 million, $2 million. They don't do bonds of $500 million. But he comes up on a perfect trial.
Feels like a dream, feels like magic. Now I believe I can have.
Started. He said, he's guilty. And the guy doesn't even, the other day, he didn't know what cash was. We said, we're going to put up all cash. And he didn't know what that meant. And this is the guy that's ruling on me in New York. And then we have another one in New York who gave someone $91 million because they said I defamed her. Because I said her story isn't true, I defamed her. $91 million. $91 million. Oh, so anyway. Hopefully the appeal process works, because if it doesn't, you just don't have a country. $91 million because I defamed her. Unbelievable, and I didn't defame anybody. Businesses all over the world are watching. They're fleeing New York State because of all of this crap that's going on. They're fleeing, and they're not coming back either. They're not coming back, and hopefully the court system will straighten out, because all over the world they're watching this stuff. They're watching this current trial, and they're seeing what a scam it is. and they don't like it. Nobody. But hopefully that stuff easily on appeal. We haven't had a decision here, but the decision here can probably only be one thing, I guess, because this whole thing, it's a rigged deal. It's a rigged deal. And we shouldn't allow this to happen in this country. We can't allow this to happen in this country. But the fact is, the important vote to me is the vote on November 5th, because it's going to turn out to be the single most important day in the history of our country. And we're going to get things straightened out. In the Soviet Union, that's what's happened to this country. You know, we are. Okay, go ahead. Let's go. Let's go. Think of this. Just think of this. Joe Biden failed on the border. He failed on inflation. He failed on gas prices. He failed on every single thing, including Afghanistan, the most vicious, embarrassing day or period in the life of this country, Afghanistan. Remember that disaster? The most embarrassing day. He failed on every single thing he touches turns to shit. Every single thing he touches turns out to be no good. He's no good on policy. He's no good on military. He's no good on finance. Our country is crashing. He's no good on inflation. Inflation is a disaster. It's eating you alive. It's a wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. We are the only ones. You know, when I say we have a big group of people like this all over the place, and we have more voters. I say we have 250 million people. I say we have 250 million people that want to see our country be great again. In the new Emerson poll just came out, we're up 4 points in Michigan. In another one, we're up 7 points. And I saw one where we're 11 points up in Michigan. And why wouldn't we be? We're also leading in every single swing state, every one of them. That's why we have to watch the cheating. Keep your eyes open. Watch the cheating. The radical left, Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020. But we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election, the most important day of our lives in 2024. We're not going to allow it. We're going to protect the vote, and I'm pleased to, this is the first time I've announced this actually, announced that our campaign is going to be leading a historic effort in conjunction with the RNC, that's Republican National Committee, the state parties, and a team of the most highly qualified lawyers and other professionals in the country to ensure that what happened in 2020 will never happen again. We're not going to allow it to happen again. The only good thing about 2020, it showed how bad they are. It showed what a rotten job they do. That's why we're more popular now than we were 4 years ago. Because you like Trump. And you know what I hate? When these guys get on television, they say, the pundits, you know, the great pundits that never did a thing in their whole lives. You know, we have two very unpopular candidates. We have Biden, and we have Trump. These are very unpopular. I'm not unpopular. We had 94%, 95% popularity in the Republican Party. I'm not unpopular. Amazing. I'm not unpopular. I'm unpopular with China. China doesn't like me too much. You know, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. No other president took in 10 cents. Other countries, Germany, other countries, I did a lot. Oh, I love that. Look at that young lady. Turn that around. I love that. Wow. That's beautiful. Wow. I want to buy that from you. I want to wear that. Thank you, darling. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Really beautiful. No matter how you vote, whether it's early on election day, by mail, or in person, it doesn't matter. We'll make sure your ballot is secure. We want to make you sure, but we're going to be sure that your ballot's secure. You're not going to put in ballots that don't count. You're not going to put in and do things. You're not going to have other people not there, but putting in a ballot. Like a couple of cases that you happen to hear about. I'm sure you heard about a little place called Detroit, right? Where they had more ballots than they had voters. A little thing like that. And then by the time the people got screamed at all night, they sort of said, oh, they were called every name under the book. And they sort of said, oh, but they had, think of it, they had more ballots than they had voters. We're not going to let it happen again. And you have to be very vigilant, too, because you can see it. You see it happening better than anybody else. It's really a source. We're going to watch the radical left Democrat like hawks. All these Democrats we're going to watch like hawks because, honestly, I don't like saying this. They cheat like hell. They cheat like hell. In plenty of other places, too. And we're going to make America great again. It's very simple. We're going to make our country great again. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor because I'm being indicted for you. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom, and it's good. It's good. Never. And it's good that I have a good memory. You know why? Because this
Do you like having a P.O. box but are tired of wasting time and money driving to the post office?
These teleprompters are just gonzo, folks. They're gonzo. I hate to use the word folks. Cross out the word folks. You ever hear Biden? Every other word is folks. Okay, folks. It's like a nervous habit. I don't use the word folks. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me. They're after you. And I just happen to be standing in their way. Standing in their way. And I really, it's an honor to have this crowd. This is a hell of a crowd. That's a big, look at it. They go past the hangar. You know, I ask this all the time. And it's sad, actually. But I ask it all the time. It never happens. I want the press to take their cameras and turn them around. And right from the beginning, from 2015, you know, before we ran, and as we had these big crowds, never an empty seat, but we had the big crowds. And I would ask them, turn around and show the crowd. And even the ones that are semi-friendly, they just wouldn't do it. And I thought it was a mechanical problem that they couldn't do it, but they could. I learned that they could. There you go. But I'd like him to turn the camera backwards and see the crowds and see the people that can't even get in here. And I thought it was a mechanical. I figured the steel and you can't turn the camera. And then in 2016, there was a very bad fight in the backhand, left-hand corner of the room. And the cameras hardly had access to it. And those cameras turned around like a pretzel. And I realized they don't want to show our crowds. They don't want to show our crowds. But I'd love you and the fake news media to turn the cameras around and show the crowds. It would be a great thing. Watch. The cameras will be dead on. They never do it. Because they're fake. That's why we call them the fake news. That's why we call them the fake news. So we're pleased to be joined. It makes no sense. You know, it would be more exciting for somebody watching at home to see a big crowd. But for some reason, they just don't do it. And I guess they're instructed by the boss not to do it. But we're going to kick the boss's ass pretty soon. We're pleased to be joined tonight by a man who is going to be a warrior in the United States Senate. And more importantly, he's just going to be a winner. He's going to win this race. This is going to be, I think, an easy race. He's highly respected. Mike Rogers will vote to to secure our borders, crack down on sanctuary cities, support our police, and stop the crime that is ravaging your communities and ravaging our countries. He'll vote to block the Biden tax hikes. He'll allow nothing to happen bad to our country. He's going to stop things from happening bad to our country. The Michigan auto industry will be demolished if you don't have guys like him, but you're going to have me. I'm going to save your industry, and we're going to make your industry much bigger, because we're going to put tariffs on cars that are coming into our country. I don't know if you know it. By the way, before I do with Mike, China is building some of the largest auto plants in the world along our border in Mexico, and they think they're going to take those cars and sell them into the United States and lose all your jobs in Michigan. And you ought to tell the head of the auto workers, as a union boss, he stinks, because what he's allowing to happen to you as union workers, and we're going to get 95% of the auto workers anyway, but we're going to put tariffs on those cars, and we're not going to let them sell those cars in the United States. We're not going to let it happen. Mike will be facing off against a far-left liberal lunatic named Slotkin. She's terrible. She's terrible. Not respected in Washington. Laughed at, gives everything away to the opponent, very big for China. She fully supports banning gas-powered cars and trucks. She wants you by the way, especially you, somebody that's against gasoline-powered cars, you can't have them in this state. Because if you told me you want to have her, and if somebody wanted to fight me on gas-powered, then we can't make your auto industry great, because it's only going to be the hybrids and the gasoline-powered cars that are going to turn around your state. So you have no choice but to vote against her. Slotkin is also an open borders extremist who has repeatedly voted for mass amnesty. She is not, I don't think she's going to, I tell you, Mike, I think you're going to win this thing big. A vote for Slotkin is a vote to raise your taxes, kill Michigan manufacturing jobs, and flood your communities with illegal aliens and a lot of Chinese-built electric vehicles. I don't think we want them in Michigan. That's why you must vote for Mike Rogers, highly respected no matter where he goes. Mike, come on up, Mike. Come on up. Come up here. Hi, Mike. Mike.
Good to see you, Mr. President. Thank you for this, by the way.
Say a couple of words,
Thank you.
yeah.
Mr. President, this crowd is fired up because they know when you get into the White House, these folks have your back, too. And they know, and they've been telling America, and they're going to go door to door for you, for me, for the Republican Party, and tell the rest of our state and our country that help is on the way. Yeah. And just one last thing, Mr. President, I had a slight little lead to show that you were a little bit popular in the Republican Party. Donald Trump endorsed me 2 days later. I was 60 points ahead of our opponents. Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for what you're going to do. Thanks for having the courage to stand up when so many would not. Thank you, Mr. President.
We're with you all the way. Yes, sir. He's going to win. It was an honor to endorse him, and I'll tell you, he's respected all over. He's respected by everyone.